So are you someone who gets cold feet before a presentation? Or if your boss asks you to make a presentation for about 5 or 10 people, your reaction is, well, the good news is that there is no need for you to sweat before your next presentation, because in this video, I will share with you 6 tips which will help you make a killer presentation. My name is Jamil Hai, and I've been working in the corporate sector for the last 18 years. My passion is to help you build real life skills for your job and career that they don't teach you in college. So the first thing you need to do before you even start making your presentation is know your audience. You could be presenting to your general manager or senior management. In that case, you have to keep things simple at a high level, because this is the type of audience which is looking at the big picture. So your messaging needs to be simple and to the point. On the contrary, if you are presenting to technical experts, this is where you should be prepared to go into a lot of details. You should also be prepared to answer a lot of technical questions and so on. Similarly, you could also be presenting to a group of new employees. And in that case, you will have to share with them the context or the philosophy of the organization as you are explaining to them how the different procedures in the organization work. Now, these are 3 very random examples, and you could be working with a lot of different types of audience. But these examples show you that knowing your audience will really help you shape your presentation in a smart way. Now, once you know your audience, the next thing you need to do is identify your purpose. Why are you making this presentation? Now, once again, there could be so many different reasons for your presentation, but let me give you 4 different examples. Now, your presentation could be about getting an approval on a budget. Now, in that case, you should be focusing on the return on investment. Why would people give you the money you're looking for? Talk to them about the benefit the organization will have as a result of this budget you are asking for or the work that you are going to do with it. Now, your presentation could also just be about informing and aligning. Now, in that case, think about the one thing you want people to remember from your presentation, and then build your slides and your messages around that. The third example could be you might be asking for a decision. In that case, focus on the pros and cons of the decision you're looking for and try to present those pros and cons in a way that favor the kind of decision you are looking for. Now, in this context, remember that data can be a very powerful tool you can use to your advantage. People tend to make decisions easily if you present them hard data and hard facts, because in that case, it will help them make decisions based on facts rather than emotions. And then lastly, your presentation could be just about selling something. Now, in that case, you should definitely watch shows like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, because you will notice in them that anyone who is pitching an idea in those shows is really trying to explain to the investors what kind of problem their product is solving. What is the real world issue that this product is going to solve? Highlight the key features of the product and also explain how this product is better than the competition. So now that you know your audience and you have identified your purpose, let's now get a little bit more into the formatting of your presentation. In this context, the first thing you need to keep in mind is less text and more pictures are better. The late Steve Jobs was a master at this. All his presentations would be one number or one picture or one visual, and he would explain the rest through his talking points. You can see a very similar trend now in how other CEOs make presentations about their products. Now just think about for a second, these are pretty senior guys, and why do they do this? Because the impact of visuals on a presentation is far more than text. A lot of people do this mistake that they put a lot of text on their slides and then they tend to read it. Remember, your audience can read faster than you can. So don't fool yourself by trying to read your slides. Keep that text in your talking points, but on the slide itself, keep minimal text and more visuals, because the visuals can help you tell your story in a much powerful way than words. Now, the next thing you need to keep in mind is how you conduct yourself during a presentation. A good presentation is often a two-way conversation. So as you have started presenting your first couple of slides, you will probably see some expressions on your audience. Now, it's easier to gauge those expressions when you are in person, but even if you are in a virtual meeting, try to take a break after the first couple of slides and check in with your audience on if they have any questions. So look for questions, because those questions will start a two-way dialogue. It will make your presentation much more powerful and will help you achieve your objectives in a much more efficient way. Now, if you're presenting virtually, sometimes you don't see the questions on the chat. So one sub tip here is, if you are making a presentation to a large number of people, then ask somebody on your team to keep an eye on the questions in the chat and let you know, because a lot of times in these softwares which are available these days, whether it's Teams or Skype or Zoom, while you're presenting, you often don't get to see the chat itself. So having a partner who can look at those questions and prompt you about those questions so that you can answer them as you're going is always helpful. So the next tip is explain one key message per slide. A lot of times we present slides which have a lot of data or a lot of different messages, and it's natural for people to just get lost, right? What are you trying to explain? What are you trying to get out of that slide? So even if you are presenting a slide which has a lot of data, or let's say you have a graph which is highly complicated, just circle the part of that chart where you want people to focus your attention to, or which is the part where your key message lies. Because a lot of times when we are presenting data with charts, there might be a lot of data points on the chart itself, but most likely your key message lies in the overall trend rather than the data points themselves. In that case, just show a line on the trend or put a circle on a specific data point that you're trying to show so that people know exactly what you're talking about. The last and the most important tip on presentations is rehearsal. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Could you imagine that Steve Jobs, who apparently was such an amazing presenter, spent so much time on his rehearsals? Although one would think that why would a person like Steve Jobs need to rehearse, right? But he actually used to spend a lot of time doing these rehearsals. And this is something which is recognized by his arch rival Bill Gates, who acknowledged that Steve Jobs was way better than him on presentations. And one of the key reasons for that was how precisely he would rehearse. And if you even reflect back on all the tips I've shared with you so far, rehearsal is key, because preparing for a presentation is a process. It's not typically about just throwing a bunch of slides and then just trying to wing it. The better prepared you are, the more effective you will be. And rehearsal is a key part of that, because even the best of presenters might fumble while presenting. And therefore, rehearsal is a critical tool which will help you make your presentation perfect. So I hope this video will make you much more confident about your next presentation. And do reach out to me on social media and tell me how your next presentation goes, because I would love to hear about it. Keep watching and do not forget to subscribe.